What if current NHL stars played in the 1980s? Season simulation from 1987 to 1990. Before you continue on with this video, make sure you watch part 1 of this What if current NHL stars played in the 1980s. In this NHL What if scenario, I'll be simulating seasons from 1987 to 1990 using the rosters with the current NHL stars on them. This simulation starts off at the 1987 draft. At the 1987 draft, the LA Kings trade pick 3 to the Hartford Whalers for pick 5 and 9. Changes in the 1987 draft: the Buffalo Sabres draft Joe Sakic, the New York Islanders draft Brendan Shanahan, the Hartford Whalers draft John LeClaire, the Minnesota North Stars select Pierre Turgeon, the Vancouver Canucks draft Matthew Schneider, the Boston Bruins draft Eric Desjardins, the Calgary Flames draft Glenn Wesley, and the Montreal Canadiens draft Stephane Quintel. LA Kings select Theo Fleury and Andrew Castles in the 1987 draft. St. Louis Blues select Jeff Hackett and Luke Richardson in the 1987 draft. The Calgary Flames trade Paul Reinhart to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a first-round pick in 1988 and a second-round pick in 1989. The Edmonton Oilers trade Paul Coffey and Mike Krushelinski to the New Jersey Devils for Bruce Driver, Joe Cirella, Aaron Braun, and a first-round pick in 1988. The Oilers also acquired John Casey from Minnesota North Stars for a second-round pick in 1988. Montreal Canadiens acquired Rick Nattrass from the Calgary Flames for a fifth-round pick in 1989. New York Islanders trade Brian Trottier and Mike Bossy to the Winnipeg Jets for Pat LaFontaine, Thomas Steen, and a first-round pick in 1988. Toronto Maple Leafs trade Scott Mellanby to the Montreal Canadiens for Scott Young and a second-round pick in 1988. The Quebec Nordiques trade Dale Hunter, Mike Eagles, and Lane Lambert to the Philadelphia Flyers for Peter Ziesel, Pelly Eaglin, Derek Smith, and a first-round pick in 1988. Washington Capitals acquired Don Maloney from the New York Rangers for a second-round pick in 1988 and a second-round pick in 1990. Originally in the 1987 offseason, Mike Bossy retired. In this scenario, that never happened. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Winnipeg Jets, followed by the Edmonton Oilers, Chicago Blackhawks, Detroit Red Wings, Calgary Flames, St. Louis Blues, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Vancouver Canucks. Missing out on the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Minnesota North Stars and LA Kings. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the New Jersey Devils, followed by the Washington Capitals, New York Rangers, Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Montreal Canadiens, Boston Bruins, and Buffalo Sabres. Missing out on the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the New York Islanders, Hartford Whalers, and Quebec Nordiques. The New Jersey Devils and Winnipeg Jets meet in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the New Jersey Devils win the Stanley Cup in 7 games. Minnesota North Stars trade Dino Ciccarelli to the New York Islanders for Pat Flatley and a first-round pick in 1988. Hartford Whalers trade Cam Neely to the Detroit Red Wings for John Chabot and a first-round pick in 1988. The Hartford Whalers also trade Sylvain Turgeon to the Calgary Flames for a third-round pick in 1988. Because of some trades made last offseason and the changes in standings, the 1988 draft will look completely different. Changes in the 1988 draft: the LA Kings select Mike Modano, the Quebec Nordiques select Rob Blake, the Vancouver Canucks select Rod Brindamore, the Toronto Maple Leafs select Tony Amonte, the Montreal Canadiens select Valerie Kamensky, the Calgary Flames select Joe Juneau, the Philadelphia Flyers select Brett Hedican, and the St. Louis Blues select Keith Carney. Minnesota North Stars select Timo Solani and Jeremy Roenick in the 1988 draft. Hartford Whalers select Mark Recchi and Martin Jelena in the 1988 draft. A 3-team trade is made between the New Jersey Devils, Chicago Blackhawks, and Toronto Maple Leafs. The New Jersey Devils get Ed Belfour, Gary Liebman, and Tom Fergus. Chicago Blackhawks get Tony Amonte, Craig Billington, Mark Johnson, and a second-round pick in 1991. Toronto Maple Leafs get Pat Verbeek, Keith Brown, Mike Lewitt, and Trent Yanni. Edmonton Oilers trade Wayne Gretzky and Marty McSorley to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Dan Quinn, John Cullen, Doug Bodger, a first-round pick in 1989, first-round pick in 1991, and a first-round pick in 1993. Edmonton Oilers trade Joe Cirella to the Washington Capitals for a third-round pick in 1989. Quebec Nordiques trade Peter Stastny and Michael Goulet, as well as Tommy Albeli, to the New Jersey Devils for Bob Carpenter, Patrick Sundstrom, and a first-round pick in 1990. St. Louis Blues acquired Mike Lewitt from the Toronto Maple Leafs for Jeff Hackett and a second-round pick in 1989. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Winnipeg Jets, followed by the Chicago Blackhawks, Edmonton Oilers, Detroit Red Wings, Calgary Flames, Minnesota North Stars, St. Louis Blues, and Vancouver Canucks. Missing out on the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the LA Kings, Penguins, and Toronto Maple Leafs. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the New Jersey Devils. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the New Jersey Devils, followed by the Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, Philadelphia Flyers, Hartford Whalers, Montreal Canadiens, New York Islanders, and New York Rangers. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Boston Bruins, Buffalo Sabres, and Quebec Nordiques. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Winnipeg Jets meet in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup in 6 games. The 1989 draft will look completely different because of the changes in standings. At the 1989 draft, the New Jersey Devils trade pick 19, 26, and a first-round pick in 1992 to the Toronto Maple Leafs for pick 3. Changes in the 1989 draft. The Buffalo Sabres select Nick Lidstrom, the Boston Bruins select Pavel Bure, the LA Kings select Vladimir Konstantinov, the New York Rangers select Bobby Holik, the New York Islanders select Stu Barnes, the Montreal Canadiens select Olaf Kolzig, and the St. Louis Blues select Artus Urbe. New Jersey Devils draft Sergei Fedorov and Bill Guerin in the 1989 draft. Toronto Maple Leafs draft Dallas Drake and Vladimir Malakoff in the 1989 draft. Vancouver Canucks draft Adam Foote and Byron Defoe in the 1989 draft. Detroit Red Wings acquired Tony McKegney from the Quebec Nordiques for a third-round pick in 1990. Hartford Whalers trade Igor Larionov and Jimmy Carson to the Boston Bruins for Bob Joyce, John Carter, Greg Haywood, and a first-round pick in 1990. LA Kings acquired Dana Merzen from the Calgary Flames for a second-round pick in 1991. New York Islanders trade Rich Pilon to the LA Kings for a fifth-round pick in 1991. New York Rangers trade Tony Granato and a second-round pick in 1990 to the Chicago Blackhawks for Eric Reinrich. Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Thomas Sundstrom from the New York Rangers for a fourth-round pick in 1989. Penguins also trade a third-round pick in 1990 to the New York Islanders for Mikko Makela. The Vancouver Canucks trade Larry Robinson to the Detroit Red Wings for Lee Norwood, Sean Burr, and a first-round pick in 1989. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Detroit Red Wings, followed by the Edmonton Oilers, Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota North Stars, Chicago Blackhawks, Calgary Flames, LA Kings, and Toronto Maple Leafs. Missing out on the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the St. Louis Blues and Vancouver Canucks. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Pittsburgh Penguins, followed by the New Jersey Devils, Buffalo Sabres, New York Islanders, Montreal Canadiens, Hartford Whalers, Philadelphia Flyers, and Boston Bruins. Missing out on the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the New York Rangers, Quebec Nordiques, and Washington Capitals. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Detroit Red Wings meet in the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup in 6 games. After simming through 7 seasons, quite a lot has changed in the NHL as we get set to head into the 1990s. In my next What If scenario, I'll be doing a What If scenario on if current NHL players played in the 1990s.